Welcome to the C.S. Joseph podcast. I'm your host, yours truly, C.S. Joseph, and today we have an interesting INTJ related question, and I'm glad that it's being asked. I've actually been hoping someone would ask this question. So this comes from an INTJ, and he asked, how can an INTJ improve at martial arts or sports or in general the fastest? Great question. Really, the answer comes down to practice. It's extroverted sensing inferior, and extroverted sensing inferior can be extroverted sensing aspirational. And out of all the 16 types in terms of achievement, no one can outperform the INTJ or an INFJ. And based on that, it's really just practice itself is what drives the performance, even if you are at the risk of failure. So if you are failing or afraid of failing and you don't want to practice because you're afraid of failing during practice, you're basically a pussy and you need to kind of grow up, okay? Really? I don't want to practice because I'm going to fail. Look, practice is so that you can fail, so that you can reduce your failure through practice. I mean, that's the whole point of it. But for some reason, I often see INTJs making that really dumb decision and that huge mistake. So that's a huge problem. But the other thing is, too, is that while INJs often like to practice alone, they can even get better at improving their particular skill of choice, and in this case, it's martial arts, by practicing with others so that their extroverted sensing can observe other people and see what mistakes other people are making so that they themselves can avoid making the mistake themselves. And it's all about putting in an absolute high effort. So, introverted sensing demon, sometimes, and INTJs, they love to cut corners, they love to take shortcuts, they always end up really not putting in the highest level of effort that they can be. So rule number one is that when you're practicing, you need to practice even if you fail, and you need to actually seek failure out when you practice. Rule number two is have other people that you're practicing with so you can see where they're failing so you can avoid their mistakes. And then finally, rule number three, which I think should be pretty obvious, is that always put in the highest amount of effort into your practice. The same amount of effort that you put in your practice will be the same amount of effort that you would put into the performance. You have to do that. If you're not going to do that, your SI demon will eat you alive and your performance will be extremely poor and you won't get anywhere. This is especially true when it comes to martial arts. And rule number two should actually be pretty self-evident, because when you're with martial arts, you have everybody in the mirror, and you can see what everyone is doing in the mirror. It's like you're learning dancing. It's no different, etc., except it's just fighting, right? And you have the opportunity to observe what everybody else is doing. You know, for me, the mirror is nice for me to observe myself because my introverted sensing is just focused on myself, and I have to learn all of my own mistakes, and it's going to take me longer than everybody else. But the reality of the situation is you can actually outperform other people very quickly, provided you are putting yourself in an extroverted environment where you're able to observe what other people are doing. And yes, it will drain you of energy super quick, but at least you'll be able to learn from other people's mistakes faster, and it will increase your capability. If you as an INTJ continue to avoid being around people with how reclusive you are because you're SE inferior performance anxiety, well, if you're going to do that, then you're actually not going to improve, and you're actually stunting your own growth, and you're getting in your own way. You need to learn how to embrace people. Just because you don't understand people doesn't mean you don't have the responsibility of embracing them, because you really need to be around people in order to improve your own self and your own skills. That's a fact. Your SE inferior cannot develop into something aspirational unless you're observing other people who are doing the same thing you're doing, so you can see what mistakes they're making so you can avoid doing those mistakes, because your NI hero naturally is going to be like, oh, well, I don't want to do what they did. Well, you'll never actually have that available if you're practicing alone. So you need to grow up and get out there with other people, INTJs. Get around other people. It's really the only way, okay? It's the only way that you'll be able to have any form of success in your life, like with your skills. And INTJs are supposed to be the master of any skill. The problem is if they don't practice that skill, they will lose that skill. But they can get mastery faster than everyone else. But if they want to have the fastest mastery, they have to be around observing other people practicing the same skill at the same time so they can learn from other people's mistakes, because INTJs don't learn from their mistakes as much or as often. Also, it would really help if INTJs would take their phone when they're going to, the gym and just observe people. And then like before or after class, obviously not during class, martial arts class, they'd pull out their phone and actually go to ucha.app, www.udja.app, and use the app test on the app to actually type and psychoanalyze all of the people that they're going to class with. And then as a result of that, then they save that in their journal of all the people that they go to class with, what they think that their types actually are, saved in the journal. And it only costs $1 a month for that journal access to save all those people. Then they can even organize all those entries that they have in their journal by compatibility, social compatibility, emotional compatibility, sexual compatibility, etc. That's pretty awesome. And we're adding a lot more features that would actually help that INTJ understand what types of the people that he's dealing with at the martial arts dojo or gym. Why? Because then he's going to end up wanting to pay the most attention to the Crusader types who are making tons of mistakes, because the people who fail the most are the people he's going to be learning from the most, and knowing what type they are could be really super useful in a gym situation. And this INTJ was smart because he actually got in at the $1 membership level for Ucha, because he knows that the price will be increasing very soon, right? And he wants to get grandfathered in on that price. So maybe y'all should do what the INTJ has done and do that yourself by going to ucha.app, signing up, taking the test for the first time to type yourself, and then afterwards subscribing for $1 a month to get you locked in on that price. And I guarantee you're really going to enjoy what's happening with it, especially as we add new features down the road. And it's going to turn into a fully fledged social media platform in the future too, including with NFTs. It's going to be awesome. So why wouldn't you want to get involved in that and potentially, monetize your life? So anyway, folks, thanks for watching. I hope you found this video or episode useful, educational, etc. Leave a like and a comment, and that would be awesome. Otherwise, see you guys tonight.
You stole